welcome to the Live from South College podcast. I'm your host, Kathleen Stockham. The Live from South College podcast is your source for all South College activity, including new student information, deep dives into our 100 plus programs and concentrations, tools of the trade, and even live on location from all of our campuses. Great interviews with faculty, staff, deans, and hear from South College students and alumni in their own words. From certificates all the way to doctoral degrees, catch up with Live from South College for the lighter side of helping your dreams find direction. Well, it's a jam-packed episode today. Okay, students, do you need help? I mean, well, hey, who doesn't? But do you feel like you're, bogged down or behind, or maybe you just need some good advice? Well, don't worry. We have just the thing for you. And the solution is literally right under your nose or down the hall, as the case may be. I'm excited to be joined today by South College Atlanta's Jennifer Harris and South College Orlando's Melinda Waller, both student success advisors and leaders. Welcome, ladies.
Hi,
Hi, thank you.
Kathleen. Thank you for having us.
Oh, I'm excited you guys are here. I mean, I think I might need help too.
We got you covered.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
More on that later. All right. So tell us more about the student success teams and what they do at each campus. Jennifer, I'll start with you.
Sure, absolutely, Kathleen. I am excited. I have the opportunity to serve as the Senior Director of Student Services for both the Atlanta and the Marietta campus. So keeping my hands full, but definitely doing the things to help students find success. So we are here to help students navigate their academic plans, and whether that's registration, being ready to apply for what we call their respective cohort. Our goal is what I like to call is going on the ride with the students, right? They're driving the car. We're sitting right next to them on their experience, just to ensure that they have a guide through this plan. But also, I always tell students in our welcome session, which is like our orientation, that there will come a time that there's a bump in the road. And please know that you are not alone in doing so. So we truly encourage communication from our students. We by scheduled appointment, and we'll have them to meet with us, whether they walk in, phone calls. We're doing constant outreach to check on those in need and those who really don't need us too, just to ensure that they are navigating their process well. So we really are I like to say, the hub of the student experience as they come in from enrollment and make their way to graduation.
Oh, love that answer. Melinda, what about you? Tell us more about what student success teams do in Orlando.
Yeah, I actually second what Jennifer says for sure. At the Orlando campus, same processes that we're going through. What I share with the students in our welcome session is our job is student success. And I always say it's cheesy, but it's true. Your success is our success. That's how we mark our success, not on how many appointments we saw, not on how many presentations we did, but on how many of our students were successful. So we will do what we can within our power, within the realms of academic integrity and our policies to assist the students along the way in reaching those educational goals. So I would like to say, what do we do in student success? Everything.
Everything.
So and, and to Jennifer's point is we touch all departments. We're the one department that touches all departments. We work closely with admissions, with financial aid, with the registrar, with academics. So we might be talking to faculty today or, scheduling to help a student get in to see financial aid. So it's a little bit about everything. And I think other than, taking them through the progression is being a listening ear and a cheerleader. That's what we're here for, to help them succeed in whatever that might be.
Oh, I love that. So it kind of begs the question, and it seems like you're kind of like the campus mom, which I really love.
I like
Absolutely.
auntie.
Favorite cousin.
I know, I love that. I love that. All right, Auntie Melinda, when do students need you? Like, when do they really need you?
All the time. All the time. I think that when a lot of our students, especially here in Orlando, a lot of our students have been to other schools. Some of them are right out of high school, first time college experience, but some of them have been out there. They went to larger public schools and maybe they felt lost and they weren't successful because they were trying to figure it all out by themselves. And that's one of the things I like about working at an institution that can provide the resources. Us as advisors, our even our population load, the way we're assigned to students, we don't have thousands of students assigned to one person. We have smaller advisee population so that we can
Mhm.
take that time with the students. So if it's just answering questions along the way, and we have open door policy, so they can walk right in and see us. So from the beginning, when they have those questions about, I see all these classes, they're scary, or I'm not sure how to ask that question of my instructor, or when they don't even realize that sometimes they don't realize that there is somebody eh, that can help them. They need to be that person to reach out and say, "Hey, I noticed you haven't logged into your class, or things are dropping a little bit low." So I think all the time through the whole journey, they need us. Even afterwards, sometimes, where do I go get that transcript? So
Yeah. Oh,
I
that's
was
great. Jennifer, what about you? When do students in Atlanta and Marietta, when do they need you?
All the time. I think it's just, and I take it as an honor. I've been in higher education now 17 years, worked in public school before here, but, I love everything about education, but, we're vital parts of the experience and the success. So whether that's understanding what your schedule needs, you know, being clear about deadlines and policies. One thing I often encourage my team to do with students is to educate them. Just because we know doesn't mean that students know. So
so
we
true.
have to take that time to really identify, listen to the cues. If you hear a pause, maybe just check for understanding, during that time, because we really want to meet students where they are, help them problem solve. This education journey for many of us, right, hasn't been easy. I will definitely say I love the model itself because we're watching. We're watching to see where those indicators are coming up. And I again tell students in welcome session, listen, we can see it. So don't be afraid if we're reaching out because we want to help you. Sometimes it's hard to start the conversation. So we're open to starting the conversation, but also being a big part of the solution too.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the advocacy that seems to come along with that. So, besides all the fun stuff and presentations, when does it get serious? And by that, I mean, when do you step in for helping a student that's in crisis? And it could be a crisis at home or a crisis in the classroom. Where do you guys step in on that?
Yeah, for me, it is often, just being a warm voice. Sometimes you get students to share information because here in Atlanta, students are challenged with many things, whether it's housing instabilities, the financial component of it. Those things play a real part in their, overall success. So
Mhm.
we really, 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 when we're doing outreach to students, we're working to find out what those things are. But I like to introduce myself to students. I like to make sure that they know who I am and I'm not just a name that's on an email. I want them to know who I am and that I am very much invested in their success. So it can get difficult, in moments where, thankfully, we have a student affairs department that's constantly sending out resources. When we're doing outreach as advisors, if we do come across a response with a student that states or indicates that they need help, we're getting them over to the right people so that they can have the proper direction with resources that we have at our disposal.
Yeah, I love that. Melinda, same question for you. I mean, when you've had to step in for a student that's in crisis, I know a lot of our students are actually parents. When there is some kind of crisis, kind of where do you fold into that?
Yeah, I love as you started like saying it seems like it's fun because you might go into student services and like, oh, they seem like they're in such good spirits, but
Right.
that's a necessity because we hear the good, the bad, the ugly. We're
Mhm.
usually the first person that the student's talking to at the campus when they're calling to say they lost a loved one or they're experiencing domestic violence or they lost their job or true stories, car was stolen, it was left in a lake or they received a
Oof.
diagnosis that they were dreading. So we have to be able to navigate those situations with the students provide them, guide them to the resources available through student affairs often, or, through our psych resources as well. And then we have to pick up the next call with a smile, bringing in the new student. So it's a part of being in student services. I've been in higher education for 24 years. I joke that I started when I was one, but 20, and I've always worked in student services, so I've seen a little bit of everything. And you do what you can. We're not licensed therapists, but we navigate those resources and provide the guidance where we can, and make suggestions. Ultimately, it's always up to the student and depending on their situation, but just try to get them to the right and let them know that we're here and that we see them when they're going through those struggles. Because I say this to my students a welcome session as well. Life is going to keep on lifing.
Mhm.
Life doesn't just care that you decided to start school. Things are going to happen. It's what you do and how you respond to those things,
Mhm.
that and just keep going. Even if there's a delay, you came here set out for gold, and you get through that, and then you come back and you keep going.
Yeah. It sounds like you run through kind of a range of emotions on a daily basis, which has got to be
Mhm.
taxing because, to your point, you just got off the phone with the student in the middle of a crisis, but then you've got to, put on a smile because there's a new student coming in to, say hello, introduce themselves, or it's a welcome session. So when a student is basically at maybe a low point or they've been informed that they're, quote, at risk, and they hear, "Okay, you're at risk." What does that really mean?
I think that when people generally look at risk, they're thinking students who are below a passing grades, or they haven't participated in a class or some of their classes in a few days. But we identify those early, and I know Jennifer a second that
Yes.
first welcome call. That is when we build the rapport and we're asking questions about their previous experience in education, how they feel about technology, because
Mhm,
that's going to help us identify maybe there's something that we need to keep an eye out for. If maybe, these students who haven't had that technology experience, or like you said, busy work schedules or responsibility at home, these students are one sick kid or one hard software download away from being overwhelmed and
Right.
just deciding to quit. So it's our job to identify those risks early and implement plans to address those when those situations arise.
yeah. Wow. Yeah, Jennifer, jump in here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well.
Most definitely, and I echo what Melinda stated. It's easy to think that it's just your academic performance, but there's so much more that goes into student success than just the academic performance. It is
Mhm,
the technical component of it. It is the stability of your home. It is knowing, having confidence, right? So those conversations can be so different based on what the needs are. Great things we have reportings that can help us with indicators, right? But as Melinda stated, though, when you're in a conversation with the student, when you identify that they are hesitant about downloading the lockdown browser or having the difficulties, we want to be so proactive that we can make sure that students are ready to start without interruption at
mhm,
the end of this. And so we really focus on that. It could be, it could be grades, it could be participating in your courses, but we do have weekly outreach starting at week 3 of every quarter, to where we are really, really doing the work to ensure that students know that we care. And I am a firm believer. We use many methods of outreach, whether it's email, phone, text message. I know everybody has that phone on them. That is my go-to, but I instruct my team to end every text in a question because I want to prompt a conversation. And I
mhm,
have found that those things really help students feel more comfortable to respond versus just having the notifier and saying, hey, we've identified an at risk measure in your student experience, but ultimately, how can we assist you? Do you need resources? Is
mhm.
it tutoring? Have you taken necessary steps? And then making those phone calls for those that are high priority, just to ensure that we're helping them navigate through that turbulence, because it's different for every person. And it's just ultimately, for me, it's having the right person on the other end to help them get through it.
Yeah, I like the idea of ending a text message with a question. I need to try that on my husband.
It works. It works, I promise.
It
Oh,
works.
I
I
like that.
I
That's
got that from Jennifer. That was one of the things that when I started here, when we were using the text message that Jennifer shared with me as a new DOS here at South College is those open-ended questions. Don't even
mhm.
give them a yes or no. Give them an open-ended question to let them be able to share, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. All right, so Jennifer, a question for you. Can you share with us a compelling story of a student that you've helped and kind of why it resonates with you today, and why you still think about it and why it's
This may sound cheesy. I'm a lover of education. I think every student experience is special, and I want to see every student be successful. That's the reason I get up every day. There is a student in particular. I have countless of stories, but one in particular to where in our nursing program there is a course within our prerequisite phase that's pathophysiology, and so for many of those students, they have challenges getting through that course to get to the nursing program. But one student in particular, I know she took it 3 times.
oh
And her
wow.
first time, she was definitely defeated, and we had the conversation. We talked about the action plan for the next quarter, and I asked her to just keep checking in with me week to week. Let me know how you're feeling. I can see your academic progress, but let's have those conversations because I wanted to rebuild her confidence because I saw it broken, but her determination was still there. And even after that second attempt, it was a different conversation when she wasn't successful in that second attempt. The motivation that I was giving her after the first unsuccessful attempt, she gave me the motivation when she went towards it the third time. Miss Harris, I can do this. You told me I can do this. I now believe this.
Oh,
And I have such the honor to play a big part in the planning of commencement. And a lot of the times I work up in the sound booth. That's one of my tasks. So I'm not on the floors, but I get a eagle's eye view of students walking the stage. And, that was one of those moments that I really had to, just be proud of her efforts because she did make it through not just that class, but through the entire program. So I just tell any student that you are not defined by your current circumstance. Please know that you can overcome it and reset to success. I think it's just important that you have the right mindset. And I've seen so many stories for students overcoming those obstacles that I want any student that's listening to this to know just because it's turbulent now doesn't mean that that's the defining end of what your student experience is. Let's be persistent, but communicate so that we can help you get to that goal.
oh, I love that. What a great story. My goodness. And I love the fact that the student is saying, "No, don't worry. I've got this." I
She
mean, that's
did.
that's
She did.
awesome. All right, Melinda, what about you? Let's hear a compelling story and it kind of in the same vein of, a student that you've helped and why it still resonates with you today.
Have that having so many students over so many years, like Jennifer said, it's hard to pick out one. I wanted to pick out one that was more recent that I uh, really resonated with me. It's interesting the students that come to us again, they're repeating and what their experiences were in education prior that kind of dictate where they are. This particular student came to me. This is the first time I'm having a conversation with this student who was not really receptive to communication through the term, but was unsuccessful in her classes, and she was coming to me and saying, "I don't think that I can do this." But she shared with me also that she had attended schools previously. Now she was working on her nursing degree, and this was a little
Wow.
bit, later in life. And I said, she was telling some of the things. I said, "What were some of the things that you found challenging?" And as she was going through some of the things she found challenging, I said, "Did you attend one of our welcome sessions?" And she said, "No, I wasn't able to attend the welcome session." So I realized in that moment that a lot of the difficulty she was having was because she missed that step.
Mhm.
She wasn't there for to receive a lot of that information.
Hmm.
So I encouraged her. I said, "Let's do this right this time. Let's sit down." I went through what I would normally go through with a student in a welcome session, shared the things that she was missing, and then we came up with a plan. Let's reset classes for next term and maybe let's take it a little bit slower.
Yeah.
So got her back in some classes and scheduled weekly meetings. put the meeting on my calendar as well as her calendar, and she would come in twice a week, and we would really just sit down, go through, okay, this is where you are with these classes. Those are going through her expectations. Like, those are the assignments you have to work on. You know where everything is, where you can download things, all things you have. And each week she would come back in, show me what she was able to do. We would say, that's great. And, I would say, make sure that you don't miss this and go through things. And we did that but once a week throughout that term and when she finished that term with having all A's.
Wow.
And for her, even if it was less classes, she needed that win. She needed to know that she can do it. And every week she would call to tell me her mother said thank you. Every week she would say, "My mom told me to tell you thank you." And it was just that. She just needed that win to know that she can do it because she had been told in her past that she couldn't do it. But she needed was the tools and some guidance.
Mhm.
And again, that's something that I'm proud to be able to work at a place that I can provide that type of service because it's not every school that say we can take that time to spend 30 minutes with you, twice a week to make sure because you have that need. Not every student will have that need,
Right.
but the ones who do, we want to be able to be there for. And seeing her make that next step and seeing her and having that certificate for to show her that you had a 4.0, like you got president's list, like you did this after being unsuccessful in all those classes. That is really what makes me feel good because seeing the next step, that's going to be somebody down the road that you can tell she's going to be a great nurse. She cares about people. She wants this. And we hadn't took that time to find out what was going wrong and how we could support her, that would have never happened.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love both of those stories because what you hear is basically triumph through the tough
Right.
times. And
Right.
I love the fact that, for everyone listening, these student success advisors are really that. It's the best friend you never knew that you needed um, until
Absolutely.
you get to school. So I want you guys kind of put your heads together. What collectively are your kind of top three tips for students just getting started in college?
Well, I would definitely start with communication. I think that's key. If you are unsure, right? I love students that explore, but if you find yourself at a point of, not being able to progress, you don't understand, please reach out. Please use the resources. We have tutor.com that's 24/7. Whether you're a working student, have family responsibilities, it's available for you when you're available. So stay connected in the resources that are available here for you. And more than anything, this has always been kind of my rhythm in supporting students is you have to remember why you are doing it. Your story is going to be different than the next person's story, but whatever your story is, it's important to you, right? To come in and go on a tour and go through the financial aid process and orientation and starting classes, even though you're afraid, you're continuing to do so for some reason. Now, everyone may not understand that, but you best understand that. So those are going to be the pieces that you need to hold on to when you're unsure, when you don't know what's to come,
Mhm.
because the unknown, right, doesn't always mean that it's bad. That means there's opportunity to find out, and really, really remembering your why is what's going to keep you pushing
Yeah.
towards finding out.
I love that. All right, Melinda. So, what do you want to contribute to this top three list?
The communication absolutely is the most important thing. I've used this one too. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. Sometimes
Hmm.
we can't tell what's going on. So you have to tell us, let us know because sometimes you might have straight A's in your class and it looks like everything's going well. But I've had students with straight A's tell me, I don't think that I'm getting the information and
Mhm.
I know I'm going to need it for my next class. So communication, another one, make school your top priority. When your cousin says they want you to plan their wedding, you need to tell your cousin that you are in school.
Yeah.
That you're in school. Make it your top priority because it's an investment with time, it's an investment with money, it's an investment in yourself. And so treat it as such and make it your priority. Make sure that your friends and family know that. So when maybe you miss a soccer game or you can't show up to that birthday party in Cabo, this is why, because I have this going on. And then another thing that's really important that sometimes we forget is to celebrate wins. Because
Mhm.
if you go through all the time and it's just work, 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 you don't let your body know that it's a good thing, it can become stressful. So once you set up, create you a plan, get through your reading, your studying, your homework, when you finish those things, have a treat. Have something that you a treat, something that you don't eat all the time. Maybe, go into parks on the weekends. We're here in Orlando, so SeaWorld's across the street. Do something so that when you do something good in school, your body knows that I'm going to get rewarded for doing this good thing.
Yeah.
So keep that not all the time. You can't celebrate 5 days a week and study 2 days a week. It
Why
has to
not?
be it has to be a balance. But to just let you know, don't just work, work, work all the time to give yourself that reprieve too.
Yeah, that's
That's
excellent
good.
advice, I think, for anybody,
Yes.
is to find the small victories and the rewards. All right, so in kind of in that same direction, how rewarding is it for the 2 of you to see a student you've worked with cross the stage at graduation?
Oh my.
Uh,
If you're saying we're the aunties, we're the proud aunties, I'm quite sure. Because it's such a feeling when especially when you know the journey, right? You met them and you experienced again the challenges that they faced and watched them overcome it. And you start school a lot of times. I think students start school with the end goal already in mind, and that's what gets them excited. But honestly, the road to get there is work, right? It's work, it's
Mhm.
commitment, it's sacrifice, it's all of those things. But when you find yourself there, right? I will say for me, give me a tissue, right? It is just such a moment of success and pure joy because there's no feeling like the feeling of accomplishment and I did it. And I think that is probably one of the biggest things that I love about education. There is a start, but there's also a completion.
Yeah, Melinda, what about you? When you see that student that you've helped and had some tough moments with, and you see them cross the stage and get their degree, what do you think?
Oh man, in 24 years of my career, I have been to so many graduation ceremonies, been a part of it, and yes, past the teachers, I cry at every single
Hmm.
graduation ceremony.
Mhm.
It doesn't get old for me. It is such a big deal seeing those students who, and what they went through, see them finally go across that stage and they're finally getting to that point after all the struggles, like getting through those things, that is a big deal. And it makes me so proud. And I do lead the graduation ceremonies here. And it was because I've done it for a long time throughout my career. So they might tell you this about me, but I get really serious at graduation because I know how hard these students work. So I need everything to go smoothly. So I get a little bit more intense with, I think, the staff and because it's so important. Like they work so hard. We need to
Hmm.
make sure that everything goes smoothly for them and we celebrate them throughout this day. But oh, that's my favorite. I love graduation. I wouldn't miss one for the world,
Oh,
and I'm
that's
gonna
Absolutely.
awesome.
cry.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's amazing. I love that. Jennifer, fun question for you. What's been your journey to South College and how did you get to us?
Oh my. I have had a ball being here. I'll just say that I've been with South for 4 years now. Prior to this, I worked in admissions. And so getting into the world of student services was a new venture for me, other than my career path. But I found the same things to be true, right? Students need help, they need guidance. And then also, we want to find success collectively. So, this particular role has really allowed me to be really engulfed in the student experience, the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads, the wins, right? And ultimately, I just wouldn't change it for the world. I have a growing team now to where I have assistant directors and I'm able to pass on all the bumps and bruises that I had along the way so that those things can be easier, for students and the teams now. But, it's been a journey of just continued support for real people helping real people at the end of the day and finding success for students through education that leads to a career that is life changing for them and everyone that's connected to them. And if that's not how to win. I don't know how wins are counted.
Yeah, I love that. I also happen to know you're very photogenic. I have a picture of you and I that is
We
still on my
do.
cell phone.
It's a
Yes,
great
ma'am.
picture. Yes.
It's a very good picture. I still have it, and I know that you're extremely photogenic, so there's a little
Likewise.
factoid.
Likewise, Kathleen.
I love that. All right, Melinda, same question for you. What's your journey and how did you get to South College?
Wow, I always have to say it started the beginning because who would have thought I'd end up working in education? My undergraduate is in computer science. I have a degree in computer programming.
What?
Not everybody knows this about me. It does make me quite dangerous on a computer. Um, but in my studies, I had the opportunity to work as a federal work study. And I began working with academics and student services while I was a work study. And that's when I really fell in love with it. My academic dean, who I am still friends with today. This is a long time ago. We still get together quite often. She met with me in my last couple of terms and she said, I need you to take 6 classes because I have a job for you.
Oh,
And and I was like, "Really?" And, I took 6 classes, 5 of them were programming classes at one time. It was a struggle, but I had my first job, my first, I'm gonna say adult job in education, working with students taking online classes for the first time, and for the young people, this is when online classes were new. So,
mhm,
everybody was taking online classes for the first time, but I got to start working with students, and from there, I was there for quite a while, and then my next job led me to my first director of student services role, which was actually mostly career services, but that actually made me fall in love with education even more because
Mhm.
you think graduation is special. Wait till that student calls you and tell you they went from CNA
Mhm.
pay to RN pay and the difference it made in their life. Like that to me was like it reinvigorated me. Like I definitely want to stay in education. I want to see people change their lives.
mhm,
And actually, at that job, I actually met Melanie Yerk, who is our academic dean at the Knoxville campus,
mhm.
who, after leaving there and going to another school, found me again for a position at another school. And then she came here to South College. And when this position opened up, she was like, I know who would be perfect for this, and got me to move from the beach in Clearwater, where I'm from,
Uh-huh.
to Orlando for this job. And um, it is a culmination of everything that I've done because I worked in the registrar's office, I've done scheduling, I've worked with students, I've done graduation, I've done a little bit of everything throughout my career, and this kind of brought it all together, and this has th I love this job so much, not
Mhm.
just because I get to affect the students, but now, especially that I'm older, I get to affect the next generation of
Absolutely.
advisors.
Mhm.
The things that I'm teaching my advisors and they're learning from me. And again, I have that background in computer programs. So there's some things in our systems that maybe not be that's not the normal training, but things I can do to help you work smarter, faster so that you can help more of your students and how you can identify things in a different way. And now I'm able to impart this knowledge on my growing team so that they're learning these things as well so that as they continue on in their career path that they can share this information about how to use systems but also about how to care for our students, and make them our number one priority. So it's been a long journey for me getting here. I've been here for 2.5 years now, and I absolutely love it. I worked at several schools before. This is again not my first rodeo, but I can really feel the difference. And I know that sounds cheesy, but in my experience, like the way that the South College family comes together, even like Jennifer, like reaching out to me, like
Absolutely.
mentor me, help me along coming into South College because even though I've had experience, the policies and things are, different. So being able to help, I know that I can go to any of my counterparts at any point in
Absolutely.
time and ask a question. I know that I can go to my leaders at any time and ask questions. I feel so supported and so seen at South College, and I'm so glad. I thank Melanie Yerk
Oh, we
constantly.
we love Dr. Yerk.
Thank you, thank
I'm a
you,
big
thank
fan.
you. Oh, thank you for bringing me here. this has made a big difference in my life, and just I've learned so much more when I thought I knew everything, but I'm learning so much more, and I love it here.
Yay. I love that, and thank you for the shout out from both of you. That's amazing that, you guys have been able to help each other. So,
Absolutely.
it's great. I have a question that I ask all of my guests because it always lends to, a little moment of levity. Jennifer, what kind of student were you in school?
Oh my. What a great question. And I'll be honest, my background is in education. I've always been somewhat of a self-teacher, and I had this conversation with one of my advisors the other day, and he was referencing students being sure to read their syllabus. And I said,
Mm,
"Well, what if that's, student is not the type that read a syllabus?" I can't tell you that I read every syllabus for each class, but look at me now, right?
Right.
Um, and I shared that just to say that students come in different packages. It doesn't mean that it's a one size fit all type of learning experience. We have to learn to adapt. And so for me, the type of student that I was I'm going to get it done. I won't tell everybody that I was a bit of a procrastinator, but I got it done nonetheless because the planning was always going on in my head before the assignment was due. It was just press and play and getting it done.
Yeah.
Mostly for me was my style, and that's being honest.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I feel like there's probably more to that story,
It
but
could
that's
be.
okay.
I'm
We're
in
leaving
school
out the good
now.
stuff.
I'm in school now, so I'm still chipping away at it. It's going well though.
Oh, what program are you in?
I am in the doctoral program for higher ed leadership.
Oh, the EDD?
Yes.
Oh, very nice. That's a hard program.
Yeah, I am enjoying it quite a bit.
Okay, good. All right, well, keep us posted. All right, Melinda, same question for you. What kind of student were you in school?
wow. So I would say in high school, you would not believe that I'm working in education because in high school, I'm the baby of 6 kids. My parents were certain done parenting by the time I got in high school. So I was a bit of a free spirit. I tell myself, say I took English um, 3, 4 times.
Oh, oh,
It was, I was of, I'm going to get an A on my test, so why do I need to do homework type of a student. So that was something for me in high school. And so when I decided, because I had a small baby in my early 20s, to decide to go to school, I was nervous. I was like, I didn't do well in school. I don't know, I don't feel comfortable reading. Like I was really worried, and I also didn't know what I wanted to do because when you are that type of student in high school that everybody just kind of already wrote you off, nobody talks to you about college.
Mm,
mhm.
Nobody guided me into what I needed to do. And I think my sisters were so good before me. My parents didn't realize I needed help. And so going into computers was kind of a default. I was like, I don't think I can do healthcare. I don't think I can do this, but computers are interesting. So let me do that. And I didn't have guidance, but I knew that I wanted to succeed. So when I started out in college, I was worried about reading. So I got a little book, and then I got a bigger book, and then I started reading chapter books in anticipation of starting school. And reading computer programming books is very difficult. So I dedicated everything into studying because I knew that I wanted something better for my son. So I studied everywhere I went. I took my books. If you saw my books from school, you'd be like, what happened to that poor book? I was on the skitty bus because I didn't have transportation at the time. And so I would get on the bus with my son and take him to daycare. I'd study on the bus. I'd drop him off, get on another bus to go to school, and I do it again on the way back. So any downtime I had in a waiting room on the bus, I was studying constantly. I stayed after class and worked on my programming. I was the teacher was probably ready to go, but I wasn't, because I wanted to do everything I could. And I actually shocked myself. I was a really good student in college.
Isn't that interesting? So it explains so much why the two of you are so good and so relatable to students from all walks of life who come to
yes,
you with challenges and issues. You've walked that walk.
we have.
Mhm.
You've been there. You get it. You
Absolutely.
understand. I mean, that's actually really, really, really fascinating.
And
And
it
I
makes
love
such a difference. I'm sorry, Kathleen. It makes such a difference when you share your stories with students because you become that much more relatable to them.
mhm.
And I can't tell you how many students have been, just thankful that I did open up and make sure that it's not just the director of student services, but
Oh,
it's Miss Harris. And if she can do it and she's telling me that I can do it, and I believe I can do it at the end. So I think it's so important just to share your story so that students understand that we all go through the walk of getting to the end.
yeah, that's well said. Well, I feel better already, don't you? These are the mama bears you never knew you
Yes.
needed until today. I love it. If you are a student or thinking about becoming a student at our Atlanta, Marietta, or Orlando campuses, you are very lucky to have these ladies on your side and ready to help you. And I really hope you got something out of this episode. I know I did. There's just more to love at South College. I want to thank my guests, Atlanta's Jennifer Harris and Orlando's Melinda Waller, for being my guest today. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Kathleen.
Kathleen.
Oh, this was so much fun. Coming up after the break, it's Nashville's turn and the amazing support network you have there in Music City. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
When you start your new career path at South College, you'll join students from different walks of life at varying stages in their lives. Many students are going back to school to finish degrees, while others are pursuing elevated education that will help them improve their potential in their current roles or for chasing a new direction. South College offers over 100 programs and concentrations with specialized focus on associate, bachelor's, master's, educational specialist, and doctoral degrees in healthcare, business, technology, education, and legal studies. We are regularly developing new academic programs based on local, regional, and national trends. Each curriculum is designed to promote development of knowledge and skills in the associated discipline as we challenge and support our students. South College is committed to providing intellectual, social, and professional development to a diverse student body. With locations in Knoxville, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, Asheville, North Carolina, Orlando, Florida, Indianapolis, Indiana, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Dallas, Texas, and Marietta, Georgia, as well as programs delivered through Competency-Based Education, or CBE, and online. We're here with you every step of the way, starting with the admissions process. To find out more, visit South College at south.edu. South College, where dreams find direction.
Welcome back. Continuing the greatness in this episode, I am pleased to welcome the Nashville campus Student Success Advisor, Anthony Donovan, to the podcast. Hey there.
Hey, Kathleen, how are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for joining me. We've been all over the place today, Atlanta, Marietta, Orlando, and now we're in Nashville talking to you. We just wrapped with those student advisors for those campuses, and we learned an awful lot about the work that you guys do and what you do for these students, and it's so much. So I want to hear a little more from you. Tell us what you're doing for the students of South College Nashville.
Sure. I'm actually the director of student affairs here in Nashville. That's a relatively new position. I came here a little bit over a year ago. We have a team that comprises a student affairs coordinator and our career services advisor, and I oversee their areas. And I work closely with the other student success staff here in Nashville. When I came here, I've been so fortunate that I work for a tremendous president in Nick South and Dean Carroll. And they just said, come in here and do the things that you've been doing for the last 30 years and help us create a welcoming, fun, successful environment here in Nashville.
Oh, I love that. And I'm mortified and embarrassed that I got your title wrong. See?
No, that's okay. It's okay. Sometimes I don't even know what I do either. So, yeah.
Oh, no, I have that feeling frequently, and I just see what my calendar tells me to do. I totally love
Yeah.
that. All
I've been in
right.
student affairs for 30 years. We do a little bit of everything. You're a generalist, And so, I mean, at the core of what we do, student affairs is about student success. So saying I'm not offended when someone says that's my job. So I think that's an incredible job.
Oh, I love that. I love that. One of the things that I learned in talking to the ladies at the other campuses is that, this role, it's really evolved. It really depends on how the student presents when they sit in front of you. Oh, is there a challenge, or is there some kind of conflict going on at home or in the classroom? or maybe they just need an encouraging word or someone to say, hey, you've got this. Tell me a kind of a compelling story of a
Yeah.
student you've helped and why it resonates with you.
Yeah. Well, I started not this past January, but the January before here after being at Belmont University for about 24 years. And I came here and, again, my role has never been here before. So I was trying to figure out exactly, what I needed to be doing. And to be honest, having served in, the traditional higher education for so many years, in student affairs, I, I, I was trying to figure out what would be the student affairs would look like at a South College, and particularly in Nashville. And one of our first events was we had an event celebrating our students who made the deans and presidents list very early on my time here. And we had done it a certain way. And I went to this, we had put together an event, and we invited students who had made the dean's list, and a few of them showed up. And I met the student there at this event, and she was really sweet, young woman, a little bit on the shy side, had been here for a little while, but she was very friendly, and we immediately kind of connected together. And I just chatted with her for a little bit. My wife says I'll talk to anybody anywhere, and that there's been many a Walmart greeter or a Target cashier that could attest to that. And so I, love talking to students, and I love to hear their stories. And one of the things that came out of it really quickly was that there are so many compelling stories here at South College, and particularly Nashville. And I know that we've talked a little bit about helping dreams find direction here as a theme about the institution. And I was really struck immediately about how many of those kinds of stories were there. And I was talking to this young woman, and again, she's a little shy, but I thought, I'd like to connect to her. And so I saw her, we met, and then I saw her again a few days later in the student center, and she was kind of eating lunch by herself. And I sat down and talked to her, and we were having a little chat while we were at lunch. And I saw another young lady who was kind of by herself, and I introduced the two of them together. And they kind of hit it off after I left them to kind of be intentionally to go there. And then a few weeks later, we do a monthly service with Second Harvest Food Bank here in Nashville every month, that I take a group of students there to work in the evening time, helping sort cold food. And she showed up with her friend, this new friend.
Wow.
And we had just the best time together. Then another 2 months come by, and they come back, and this time they bring another friend. And another month goes by, and they come back again, and they bring another friend. And then I see them together on campus, this whole little group of people who actually they're not in the same program, but they've just become friends.
Nice.
They become their sort of network of people while they're here in South College. And so now their little group of friends is probably 7 or 8 students. And I think 6 of them are going to Second Harvest next week. I think that's at the core of what we do here. And when we're doing them right, that's what's happening. We're helping students connect to the things, whether it's people or resources, that they need to help them be successful here. And this student was already successful in the terms of her grades and other things, but what she needed was a sense of community. And that was just looking at that and seeing that. And so I'm not going to say that I'm going to take credit for that, because she's the one who had to put herself out there when I was out there talking to her. But it's amazing to me what you can do when you make it easy for a student to step towards you. And that's always been my goal, is to make it easier for students to step toward the things that we do. Just yesterday, we were having a little event where we were doing a minute to win it games, and we were giving little prizes out if you complete all 5 of them. And it was just fun watching. Actually, 2 students got in a little bit of trouble because they were having so much fun, they forgot to go back to class. And so, and the instructor came out and said, "Hey guys, we can hear you in the classroom, not being in the classroom." And we all had a good chuckle, but it was that connected these students in a way that beyond just simply what the classroom is, even though we know that that's the thing that we're supporting. And so I was just so excited anytime that we had another event not too long ago where we were celebrating first generation college students. And a gentleman came in who was strictly an online student. He was an older student, but he said that he came specifically to come and connect to students on campus because of that event that we're for first generation students. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, I go to have Second Harvest, and he showed up at Second Harvest to be part of that. And then we've connected and we see, and so I love those kinds of things where we have the opportunity to students find each other.
I love that. You just epitomized things that I tell students when I see them on campus or see them in the elevator and they're by themselves and they just kind of look a little worried. You will find your people in college.
Yes.
It may take
Yes.
a little bit, but you will find your people. You will find your group. Those stories just completely rounded that out for me. That's amazing. So I have another question. Kind of what are your top three tips for students that are just getting started in college, whether they're a first time 18-year-old fresh out of high school or it's the 35-year-old that has decided to go to college for the first time? What are your top three tips for those kind of students?
Yes, always easy because I care. I think part of my job is to help students find a way to be successful at the start, and so we have lots of programs here and resources to support that. But if I were going to say there are three tips, the first one that I would say is, first of all, you're going to underestimate the pace that is college here at South College. I've run on semesters my entire academic career, and being on quarters is a very different pace. So I think that's one of the first tips is that you will underestimate the amount of pace that you need to be able to be successful. Number two is you deserve help. So many students that they wait too long to go get help until it's almost too late to help them. And they think they don't deserve it. And every student who comes to South College deserves help. It requires them to ask, but we can't read their minds, but they deserve help. And it's so hard sometimes when I see a student who, if they had merely come to help, find some help sooner. And one of the things that I've been so impressed since I came to South College is just how many people are genuine in that help. And I mean, I've met faculty members and instructors and other staff members, and I've just really been overwhelmed by just the genuine helpfulness and the desire to see our students get the help and be successful in the ways that they are. Now, you're going to be challenged here and you're going to have to do the work. It's not going to be given to you. But what I love is South College has figured out a great way to hold the right amount of handholding early on to help you be successful to the point that you develop the skills and the things that you need so that when you have to stand more on your own, say in a clinical environment, if you've done the work and you put in the time and given the effort and utilize the resources, you can be ready to do that. It might be a little wobbly at first, but you can find your way. So I think that's the thing. And then I think the other thing that people have to do here as students is you cannot forget your self-care. When whether you're the 18-year-old or you're the 39-year-old, the first thing that people often do is they sacrifice their self-care because they're taking care of their families, they're working a job, they're doing this or they're doing that. They've got a relationship that they don't want to have fall. And what I would tell them is all those things can be recovered, but the thing that can't be done is if you get so low that you can't do the work to care for yourself. And I always tell them, you've got to find a way to make that happen, whether it's just 1 hour every week on a Saturday morning before you get ready to study, or if it's just making sure you watch your favorite thing, your favorite program, or maybe it's that you're going to designate some time to go to one of the great parks here in Nashville and walk around it or ride your bike. But you've got to find the things that keep you well and keep you fueled. And those are always the first things when things get tough that people want to give up and they get rid of because they're trying to balance all these other things that they think are important. Because what we're asking for in high academic pursuit is an Olympic level performance on a subsistence diet. Time, energy, sleep, all those things are sometimes minimal when you're trying to do all those things, especially our students where you're trying to work, maybe you raise a family, and you've got to put the things into you to keep you going so that you can be successful in those things. And we're very quick to neglect those things.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so true on a lot of fronts that I think for some students, and I see this periodically, particularly with our doctoral programs, they sign up and they're like, oh, I'm in a doctoral program, but maybe they're not necessarily grasping this is doctoral level work. This is not easy. It is not
Yes.
going to be just, hey, I'm going to chat GPT and write this down. It is hard work and it is meant to be challenging. It is meant to push you in directions. I think that's kind of the whole purpose of higher ed. So I love the fact that you're championing that, telling these people, hey, get ready to stretch, get ready to
Mhm.
really get out there and see really how far you can go and what's out there for you. Love that so much. So
Yeah.
you have so much great experience
Thank
and
you.
so many great things. I would love to know, you mentioned earlier that you were at Belmont for several years. What's been your journey and how did you get to South College?
Sure. Sure. I started out like a lot of folks when I was 19 years old. I found the best job I'd ever have in my life. I got to be an RA, resident assistant at Berea College when I was a student there. Now, 30 years ago, there wasn't the clearest path to this work the same way it is now, where there are professional programs and things like, there was a clear direction. Most people in student affairs at that point had just fallen into it. And so I was at the beginning of a sort of more move to professionalization of the student affairs profession. And I just had these tremendous people in my lives who I wanted to be more like. And I found myself there, and I graduated and I did some other things, but I kept finding myself being called back to this work as an RA and trying to figure out, how do I make a living at this? And then eventually I figured it out. And I went back and got my master's degree in 11 months. And I went to the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, and worked for this incredible director of residence life. His name was Rick Dillon, who taught me so many things at age 23 that I still use today at age 53. I only spent about 11 months with him, but he was so impactful. And I wanted to be him one day. And
Mhm.
so I set off on a path to do that. I thought I'd be well into my 30s, if not older, before I got my first opportunity. But instead, I got to be the first director of residence life at Belmont University 24 years ago. And I was 27, and thank God I didn't know what I didn't know. And I got to be part of just an incredible amount of change and success there. So I got promoted a couple of times, and eventually I was the associate dean of students and the director of residence life. And when you need 2 business cards to get your title, that's a lot on your plate. And Belmont went from about 1,100 students on campus to over 5,000 students while I was there. And they went from about 3,000 students to over 10,000 students in that same time. And so I was part of that. But eventually my job became something different. And I was just putting out fires constantly. I was crisis
Mhm.
management. I wanted to do something different. I knew that I needed to be in a different place. So I saw the job at South College. I thought it was interesting. I met with the institutional director of student affairs, MK Roman, and I just thought she was amazing. And then I went and interviewed here with Jennifer, and I thought to myself, what an incredible person to work for. And I thought, well, no wonder they're doing so well. They've figured out the formula before a lot of other people have. And, I saw the tremendous growth, and I obviously I've had a lot of experience in that growth. And I thought to myself, this could be a wonderful opportunity for me as well. And then I came here, and it was very different from my first experience from the last 25 years, but I loved the students. I just fell in love with them immediately. And I love talking to them. I love hearing their stories. I love the idea that for some of our students, this is their best and last chance to be able to achieve their dreams. And I think that's an incredible thing. If you're a student affairs person like myself, that's why you did this. You wanted to help people see that. And honestly, I get to do that all the time, and I get to have so much fun because Nick and Jennifer have been so supportive of the things that I wanted to do here,
Mhm.
and while they don't necessarily tell me no, sometimes they don't tell me anything, and that's usually a sign that I need to tread carefully. But they say yes to so much of what we want to do here, and it has been so fun. And I have a great team here with me, and I've been able to make such good connections with some of the faculty here, and they're just tremendous. And it has been an incredible, a little bit over a year and a quarter that I've been here. My wife says I come home happy. I don't seem stressed. And honestly, the best way I could tell you is I've only talked to one parent about a problem in a year here. And I talk
Oh,
to
wow.
probably 2 dozen parents a day at my old job. And I see students every single day, and I love it.
Hmm. What I love more than anything, and I get to Nashville quite a bit, is, you go into the dental clinic And these are the sweetest, most polite, just the most darling students. And you meet the nursing students, and of course we do quite a bit with the PA
And
students.
these are
And
the
I
best.
mean,
They are
they're
amazing.
all just
Yeah.
so amazing. They're just the nicest
Yeah.
people. They're hardworking. They take it very seriously. I love watching, getting on the elevator with Nick. It's like walking around with the mayor. He
Yeah.
knows everybody, and
Yeah.
it's just an amazing experience. Ah, love that so much. So I have a question for you. You stay really busy at work, but what do you do in your spare time if you have
Yeah.
it?
Oh, well, I have lots of interests. People always they say you have a lot of hobbies, but I'm married to my wife Shannon, who's a nurse practitioner, and I have two Maltese puppies. No children, but if my dogs could be tax deductible, they would be the perfect children. They don't require college, just obedience school, but just no college. But I love to spend time with them. My wife and I, we love to go camping. We own a camper. We recently developed a little property on the Buffalo River down in Linden, Tennessee, which we love to go to for quick little weekends. This is going to give away my nerdiness, but I've collected comic books since I've been a tiny kid, and I love going to comic book conventions and dressing up. And my wife and I've gotten her into that, unfortunately for her, and so we do that a lot. So we go to San Diego Comic Con every year and New York Comic Con, and we dress up and we go with our friends, and so we love to do that and travel around. And then I'm a big hockey fan. I've been a season ticket holder for the Predators
Same. I
for about
love
25
hockey.
years.
I got
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a chance to see Mark Messier play in his very last game
Oh,
for the New York Rangers. Yeah, that was something. That and it's like you've got five careers that are kind of stacked up, just waiting for your more of your time. I love that. All right, I
yeah.
have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question for you that I ask all of my guests. What kind of student were you in school?
Uh, I'm a first generation everything. And so I have my doctorate. I have a master's degree, got my bachelor's. I was the first person in my family to do everything. None of my family had ever gone to college, and it was transformative. I grew up really, really poor. That's part of the reason why I think I connect so many of our students. And I was smart, but I think it's sometimes hard to be smart and poor. I did well enough in high school, but nobody was pushing me to do anything. And
Mhm.
frankly, most people didn't think I would do anything. I grew up in a housing project, and I think most people just thought we would be the same things. In fact, there were 17 boys my age, roughly my age, when I lived in this housing project. Only 3 of us went to college. One of them was my brother. The other one was a friend of mine. 15 of them had been arrested by the time they were 21.
Oh
And so
wow.
so it was really and there were other things. It was just, when you looked at the statistics, it wasn't really supposed to be here. And I did okay in school. I wasn't super motivated by grades, though I was bright. But I did become an RA, and I loved that experience. And it really propelled me in a way that moved me forward and helped me get through that and to be successful. And Berea College, where I went to school at, was meant for students who came from sort of disadvantaged beginnings. And it was a challenging school in the terms of academics, but it was also very supportive. And in some cases, when I went to college, it was the first time that I could count on having 3 meals a day and place that I know was going to be okay and be safe to do that. And people who were genuinely concerned about my care. And that changed my ability to be successful. And,
Mhm.
my goal in this career is not to have every student have the same experience I've had, but give them the opportunity to choose to allow education to affect them and to change their lives if they choose to want to do that. And
Yeah,
for
that's
the
it.
large
I
part,
mean, you you
yeah,
you just encapsulated that, and that's a perfect way to kind of wrap all this together. And everything in this episode is, this role for all of our campuses is to your point, allow that opportunity for the students that really need help. I love that so much. So there it is, everybody. You've got key info, hot tips, and just the person you need at your campus when you need help, have questions, or just, need someone to talk to. And in the case of talking about comic books, he's the guy. I want
yes,
to thank my guest, Nashville's Anthony Donovan, for being my awesome guest today.
thank you so much.
Oh no, this was awesome. I learned a lot, and I'll be honest with you, this entire episode has been exactly and more than I could ever hope for. This is amazing advice that we've been giving out today for our students. So that's going to wrap it up for us today. With 10 campuses in 7 states, plus online and CBE, there's a pathway for you at South College. Hope you enjoyed this latest episode of Live from South College. The Live from South College podcast is a production from South College Marketing. Thanks for joining me. If you love it, give it some stars. And you can always send us feedback by emailing us at southcollegepodcast@south.edu. Have an awesome day and let your dreams find direction. See you next time.